My name is Matt McCahill. I'm an account manager here at BigTime Software. Um, the purpose of today's call is to show our Express clients the features of IQ Pro that involve both invoicing and BigTime Wallet, where you can do both ACH and credit card payment. This links up with QuickBooks, and we have a panelist, Dave Carney, who's going to be walking us through this. So from here, I'm going to turn it over to Dave. At the end of just so you know, today's call is being recorded. We will send you the recording of it as well. And there's also going to be a QA at the end, and you can feel free to chat me questions during the presentation as well. Thanks, and Dave, over to you.
Thank you, Matt, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As Matt said, we're going to be going over payments and invoicing in BigTime. So before we dive in, just a couple of points I'll touch on. So again, Matt and I are available to answer any kind of questions that you have. Matt can answer them via chat, and I'll do the Q&A at the end. We're both account managers here at BigTime, so you can ask us any kind of questions about your account, and we're happy to help you as far as that goes. So today, you're going to see how invoicing and BigTime Wallet can save your firm both time and money with these simple integrations here. The main goal here is to have an all-in-one platform. You know, we don't want to replace QuickBooks, but we do want to help you do some of the things that QuickBooks doesn't do so well a little bit better, such as customizing invoice templates, handling multiple fixed fee billing formats, as well as T&M with retainers and deposits. All of that is easily controllable, doable in BigTime IQ Pro. Streamlining your cash flow, also a main benefit of centralizing invoicing and payments into a single platform. PCI compliance security, always paramount this day and age, and we'll show you how we are fully PCI compliant. Personalizing your client's payment experience and improving remote workflows are also benefits. The payment experience really is geared towards helping you get paid faster and speeding up that cash flow. And one more note before we dive in, why BigTime Wallet? And we've already touched on a little bit of these things, just consolidating your online payments. We've got some really good feedback, which we'll talk about in a minute here from our clients that have already implemented BigTime Wallet. But this, if you don't already have these abilities, you can accept credit cards, debits, and ACH. You can schedule recurring payments as well. So for those clients that you deal with month in, month out, you can ease that process and just make sure that there's as little manual work possible. And lastly, since we're going to have a bunch more information being put into our BigTime account, we're going to gain even more insight with some robust analytics. Reporting capabilities are going to be even more than they already are. Some results from our pilot program. You can see we've got a testimonial over there on the left from Rebecca. The statistics are pretty fantastic. 87% of the invoices sent from Wallet were paid within 24 hours. So if you ever have to track down your clients about those invoices, this can take a huge chunk of that work out for you. There's a pretty good distribution of ACH versus credit card. One of the things we'll touch on today in the product walkthrough is how you can choose both or either for your clients, whatever makes sense, for your business and theirs. So with that, we will go ahead and dive into the product walkthrough. I think most of you watching or attending today are in the Express platform for BigTime. So what you'll see today is the IQ Pro version. You'll notice right away there's a lot more charts and graphs on the landing page here. We have some overviews of invoicing, review and approvals, and we also have our invoicing. We have some more things as far as workflow is concerned. A lot more options for you. Today, we'll keep it simple, because right now you're probably tracking time in BigTime. You can also track expenses in IQ Pro as well. So we're going to start today, look at a T&M and a couple different fixed fee invoicing formats. And we already have time and expenses from our employees in the system. So now, before you get to the invoicing stage, if you do need any sort of internal approval process to make sure that everything's accurate before you send it out, then you can have that in BigTime IQ Pro. So in the pending approval section, you'll be able to see all of the timesheets, expenses, and even invoices to make sure everything is as accurate as possible. Again, to just increase that cash flow and make sure people know what they're paying. Since we have everything approved and ready for invoicing, we're going to jump over to the invoicing overview page. And just one quick note here, if any of you would like a full walkthrough of the IQ Pro platform, Matt or myself would be happy to provide that. There is a lot of benefits to moving to that platform, aside from what we'll go over today. Now, our invoicing overview page, see three main buckets right here. We have our work in progress. So one of the main benefits of IQ Pro is all of your work in progress, time, materials, expenses, it's all going to bucket automatically for you. You don't have to dig through it. You don't have to run different reports to find it. You can click right here and we know right away we have 8 projects that we can invoice. Your drafts and recent invoices will be available here for you. And you have a full active AR aging report and a section here. It's going to automatically sync with your QuickBooks account. Now to create an invoice, what we'll do today is we'll start with some work in progress. So we click in here and again, we see things we have not built out yet. Now, before we even create an invoice, we can make sure we're seeing the right kind of information on this page. We see the advanced filters button here. We can filter by date range, project, invoice type. We know we're billing the right kind of people with these invoices, and even to only show approved time and expenses. Now, these are, of course, all optional. They're there if you need them for your workflow. Right now, I have everything turned off. So this is everything that my company's that I can bill out. So we're going to start with the consulting services contract here. They create that. You can also bulk create invoices. I know that's something that QuickBooks doesn't generally do very well. So if you have a need to do that, crank out a bunch of invoices quickly, you can do that in BigTime IQ Pro. Let's start with one invoice. So right here, we're going to give a quick summary. We've selected the project we're going to bill out. We can see we've got time and expenses in the system. Now we choose what kind of calculator we want. So we're going to do time and material and fixed fee today, but just know there are more invoice styles available, including T&M with deposit. Now, this one's particularly useful if you're working with clients on retainer. This will allow you to bill against an amount, keep track of that automatically, and even when you need to send another invoice, automatically add another deposit amount or another retainer amount of your choosing at a certain point. So there's a lot to be said for that portion as well if you're having any sort of difficulty in retainers. Let's go with time and material, first invoice today. Once we select that, now we can see that there's a couple of different ways to even summarize the information. Up until now, this is all internal. The client can see as much or as little of this as you want them to, and there's a lot more we can show them as well. But here, what we're going to want to start with is make sure we have the right rate type on there. So a lot of the clients that Matt and I have worked with that invoice out of QuickBooks, they usually do it because of service items. They organize them that way. Sometimes they do the billing rates that way. All of that can come straight into BigTime, so you don't have to worry about messing that up or messing up any kind of reports you have in QuickBooks already. So I've got this pulling a service item rate. That's good. I've also got this, I can set the date range. I'm going to set a wide date range here to make sure I get everything. So let's say July through the end of August. Now, what this does is it not only shows the client what date ranges are being billed, but it also selects the width for that date range. If you have a scenario where you want to have some time that's just left there that you want to bill a couple months and down the road, or expenses even, you can do that by limiting the date range. Next, we can choose how we subtotal the invoice. So one of the things you can do is include a couple simple line items on the first page of the invoice. Right now, I've got this selected by service item. Again, a pretty popular option for those of you who invoice out of QuickBooks. You can keep doing that if you want to. And also have any of these other subtotals, by task, which we can, you can get into as far as budgets go, department. There's a number of options here. I'm going to leave it by service item for now. We had finalized, this is going to draft an invoice. So again, this is all internal, and this is where you can really customize your client's experience. So here we have our simple line items, and those are based on our service items. If you want to throw some more information on here, so let's say, summer 2020 services, anything you want, you can throw it on the line, below the line, a lot of customization. You can also make sure and do one last check on all of your time entries. A number of different ways to customize this page, but you can view all the timesheet notes, make any changes to them as well. So if you notice that the input doesn't match the billable hours, if the billing rate's wrong, you can change all of this and even the service item as well. Of course, you can edit the notes too. Same with expenses. Now, expenses can be a little bit tricky in QuickBooks, especially if you're sending them all to one person and they're all entering them, by themselves. Expenses are very easy to do in IQ Pro, and again, you have the ability to edit these very much like you do with the time entry, and you can even attach those receipt images. But everything looks good here. So what we'll do next is we're going to customize what this invoice looks like. Now, there's a lot of different options for how to show this to the client. And this preview page is going to allow you to flip through some of the ones that I've already set up here. You can have as many invoice templates as you want. I've just got a couple of them activated here. So multi-page with details, a progress bill. Right now we're looking at T&M with details. To maximize this page for a better view. You can see right here, there is our notes that we've added. Summer 2020 consulting services, we've got the amounts, pretty basic invoice here. It can be that simple if you want to. Also include any number of details that have to do with that time entry. This page is going to show us a lot of that. It shows us the code right here, which is our service item. Date, obviously, the notes, the hours, rate, amount. I've also got this subtotaled by those service items as well. A lot of customization you can do here. Reimbursable expenses, I've got some airfare listed here. So it was $2,700. We're going to be passing that straight on to the client. So if this all looks good, the next option is, how do we want the client to pay this invoice? And those buttons are right down here. Once you've integrated with BigTime Wallet, you see this payment info section here. Now you can choose at the invoice level here or just in the software in general, whether to allow ACH or credit card. If you'd like to allow both, you just click there and you're good to go. You can send this straight to the client from here. Click on this button. You can also post it to QuickBooks as well. We'll go ahead and send this invoice. So right here, I've got my two contacts I've listed in the BigTime account. And I've got Marcia and Niles here. So we're going to send this over to Niles. You can also choose which one you can add more folks in here. There's a number of different things you can do as far as who to send it to. Customize the message right here. And also allow them to view and pay online. So if you do want them to pay by check, then you can turn all these features off and just have them on for other clients. But we'll go ahead and send this invoice to Niles. So that has been sent. You'll notice the status is updated to sent. The terms are due on receipt, so it is due today as well. It all matches for 8/27/2020. So what does this look like for the client? Let's check it out. Pull up my email right here. And so I've got this invoice right here. Take a look at. Here is our invoice. There's the PDF. give you a glimpse of what that payment looks like. And we can click Pay Invoice right here. The client sees the invoice, they have all the details that you want them to, and now they're ready to pay. Click on that link and you can see here's the ACH landing page. A little bit of customization you can do here, which we'll touch on in a minute. Your client can also check out the invoice again right here. Credit card payment options are right here. All the major brands are listed, also accept debit cards. But that's it. So it's super quick and clean to get that payment link set up. And you can probably see already why about 87% of the invoices sent this way have been paid within the first day receiving them. That's an example of a T&M invoice with the payment options as well. What we're going to do next, actually, we'll post this to QuickBooks real quick. So we click that button here. We make sure we have the right bill to contact set up in our QuickBooks file. The AR account matches, and you can change anything as far as the service items go. But posting that is a breeze. You just click that, and it'll go straight over to your BigTime or your QuickBooks account. That's online or desktop. That's a pretty simple and common T&M invoice. What we'll take a look at next is a fixed fee invoice. The process starts out the same. We'll click in work in progress here. Now we see this fixed price contract. So we do have a couple time entries in on this one, so it's showing up in our WIP, but you can always just click create invoice and select the project right here. Even if you haven't billed any time to it or tracked any time or expenses, you can always select that project, create an invoice. Let's do fixed fee. Now, there's a couple different ways we can do fixed fee invoicing in BigTime. One of the biggest things that BigTime IQ helps with, that Matt and I have seen in working with our clients, is the ability to just easily track how much has been billed previously for the client, percentage and dollar-wise. You can see here that I have 4 different line items set up. I've got 4 different tasks set up that are just basically different types of this project. And I also have the budgets listed. I know exactly how much that I've set the expectations for to the client to bill out. We also see here is our prior billings, and this is going to be a huge time saver. So we've already billed out 85% of this, 50% of that one. We haven't started implementation or support yet, but we can see, and this is another big time saver for invoicing out of BigTime. Here is our fee by WIP. This is how many more fees we've generated and tracked in the system that we're going to include on this invoice. So we know just by looking at this, we have started more development, we started implementation, we haven't done any support yet, so it's 0. Instead of running reports or talking to anybody to finding out what we should bill next, we can just click on these 3 because we know there's time tracked against them. We have a couple options here. This is where our 2 different types of fixed fee come into play. You can do percentage complete billing, is what this is. Or if you have a contract where you're going to bill up front or you bill it upon completion, then you can do milestone billing and just build that full budgeted amount out each time. That's up to you. You can do that on a per project basis. If we're doing percent complete, there's still 2 more ways we can do this. If we want to bill out exactly what we've tracked, then we can bill out that $375. That'll put us at 89% complete. That's an option for you. The other thing you can do is just type in 100 here and just bill the remaining amount. So that's going to be another 15%. I'll round out the $10,000. Here we can bill out the extra 1,400, and that's going to put us at 57%. And this one, let's bill out 20%. So we'll just bill $1,000 for implementation. So the idea, again, is to centralize all of this information so you don't have to go searching for it. You can speed up the process. You of course have the same date range option over here. So let's kick this back to July and August. Make sure we're getting all of that. Hit finalize and draft this invoice. That takes us to the same screen right here. And you'll notice we can still add more description or things like that, of course. But when we click on the preview button over here, I want to show you a couple different. So when you're dealing with a fixed price contract or any sort of fixed fee work, again, one of the main challenges is keeping track of that budget and letting the client know where they're at. Well, as you can see here, BigTime's going to track all of that for you, and you can show the client as much or as little of this information as you like. Right now, I've got this customized to show dollar amounts for total, prior, current billings, and I also have an overall percentage what's been billed. You can do dollars or percentages for any of those categories or all of them. Another one of the benefits invoicing out of BigTime is to be able to automatically include a prior invoice balance. So it looks like for this client, we did send them an invoice before and they still haven't paid it yet. But we can show them the total balance due. If they've made any payments, that'll populate right there as well. What's more is that we can show them those prior unpaid invoices, the amount of days outstanding. So this one looks like it's almost a month past due. So maybe we want to talk to them about that. Those are a couple more invoicing options. You'll notice here that this template doesn't include any time details. You can definitely add those if it helps you get paid faster. I know some clients like to show as much detail as possible. Well, showing this doesn't limit you from adding that detail. You can just add that into the template pretty easily. If you do want to set up an invoice approval process, then you can do that pretty easily in BigTime as well. If you're taking a first pass at this invoice and you want to say, send this up the chain and see all good, you can just click over here, forward to review. You do that, whoever is next in line is going to get an email that says, hey, you've got an invoice to approve. Then they can click on the link in there, it'll take them straight to the invoice, and you can quickly make comments, send the invoice forward, backwards to review, anything like that. Hey, take a look at line 3, anything like that. You can keep all of those notes in BigTime as well. Now we can send this just the same. We can allow ACH and credit card and make sure that's good, like the other invoice. That's really how, the two main ways you can invoice out of BigTime, the most popular ones. As I mentioned before, there's retainer invoicing. There's a couple other options for you. You can do item-based invoicing, which is going to be a combination of fixed fee line items and T&M categories. Again, that's another big time saver for a lot of people that try to manage that in QuickBooks. What I want to touch on next is, how do you set up payments? Well, there's a basic credit application process. You'd have to do that for any sort of payment processor. But in order to customize that inside of BigTime, once you're approved, you get this payments button right here. Now in here, you can choose the different template styles. We have one that we call Classic. This one looks a lot like the QuickBooks Online payment link. If you're using QBO, you can keep it pretty much the same for your clients. And of course, customize colors, you can show your logo, and you can also save different templates for these as well. Activate them for different clients or change them over time. You can do that, whatever helps you get paid faster. The account section here, you can of course make sure this goes over to your QuickBooks in the right manner. The workflow will work like this for you. Once your client clicks that pay link, submits their payment to you, that's going to automatically associate the payment with that invoice in BigTime. Probably one of the biggest time savers here for this workflow is not having to flip through your whole AR and matching them manually with those invoices. That's going to be done for you. So if you or your accounting team handles that right now, if you have a lot of invoices, it can take hours. That's going to be automatic. Now, since all of that's going to be in BigTime, the funds are going to go to your bank account, but we still need that to hit your general ledger. So again, the payment and the invoice will go over, and this is where you can choose exactly how that lands in your QuickBooks. And your defaults I mentioned earlier, you can allow ACH and credit card or either one. If you want to just categorically not allow credit cards, or maybe you don't want to deal with the fees with that and maybe just a $10 ACH, then you can do that as well. And if you have a better credit card rate somewhere else, you can continue doing that. It's totally up to you. That is more or less what we're looking at as far as invoicing in BigTime. Then if we do want to track how these invoices are doing, we have our AR aging reports here. This is a very customizable page. You can see the gear wheel here, which is on a lot of pages in iCube Pro. You can choose what the columns are. You can organize them as such. A lot of different options for you, just so you can quickly get in and get out. Of course, down at the bottom, we have our monthly invoicing summaries. So we can see in July, we sent out a lot of invoices that we haven't gotten paid for yet. We can see that just at a glance here. Of course, there's always more advanced metrics, with our analytics that you can take a look at. So that concludes the product walkthrough portion of the webinar today. What we'll do next is we will just go ahead and open this up for any questions anybody has.
Thanks for that walkthrough, Dave. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. And during the presentation, we did have a few questions come in. The first question is, what are the processing rates? Great question. They are standard across the board. For credit card payments, it's 2.75% plus 25 cents. And for ACH, it is $10 per ACH transaction. The next question is, how long does it take to set up for Wallet? That is a great question as well. I had a client who signed up and was using it in the same day. Typically, it's like a 2 to 4 hour turnaround once the application is submitted just for that approval to come in. Does this information sync to QuickBooks Online? Correct. It does both desktop and online. And then yes, it did come in. Does Wallet accept ACH payments completely? It's the two options are credit card and ACH. Looks like no other questions came in at this time. Thank you all again for your time today. Again, we will send out the recording of this webinar. And also there is a survey that will be prompted right after I end the meeting. That survey will give you the ability to raise your hand to tell us to reach out to provide more information or possibly get set up with a trial. Again, Matt from BigTime here and Dave as well. Thank you for your time and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody.